Hi everyone, it's Jessica. I am here today as part of the Craft IQ Challenge, in which we take 7 different layers or elements and incorporate them into one scrapbooking page. Now, the first element or layer that I need to include is actually working off of this sketch. And so I really love that that is something that we get to work with. I think I'm going to change it up a little bit, just a little bit though, to suit my purposes. One of the other elements is to use triangles. And as soon as I saw that, I knew immediately what I was going to do. I had actually cut these triangles for a different project and then didn't end up using them. So I am going to use them here as I scrapbook this picture of my 2 daughters from a couple of years ago. So perhaps you're familiar with this layout, but have you ever seen those hearts that are made out of a bunch of different triangles, and then you position them on your page so that together the triangles form a heart? Well, that is the layout that I am going to use, and I'm going to let my heart kind of be that background piece that you can see in the sketch. So that's how I'm going to change it just a little bit. Like I said, I had started to use those triangles on a different project and then it didn't end up happening, so I just have a few more to cut. But if you've never made that heart layout before, you're going to need 10 squares, and a 2-inch square works really well for a 12 by 12 layout. And so I've just gone ahead and cut my other triangles that I needed. And then I'm going to tape down my background piece here so that I can use my Versamat and my T-square ruler to make sure that I am getting those rectangle layers put on straight. So then you just kind of start building it. So the first part, I usually figure out where the center is in my 12 by 12 page. And then I create the first 2 triangles like this, and then from there it just kind of it builds on itself. I usually leave a little tiny gap, maybe like a 1/16 of an inch in between my pieces. You could of course butt them right up next to each other, but I kind of like the patchwork look of having them with just a little bit of white space in between. And so you'll just kind of go through and do this. On this first line, if you start it in the center like I do, you're going to have 4 different squares, and then you will build the top of your heart with just 2 triangles on the one side, back to back like so, and then repeat over to the right hand side. And then you'll make another layer underneath that row of 4 by putting just those 2 in the center. And then, like I said, kind of filling in that heart shape with just the triangles rather than forming them as squares. And isn't that so fun? I know this was kind of all the rage on Pinterest and social media earlier around Christmas time, and I really love that. So there, that's going to kind of be my part of the sketch, that square or rectangle is in there. And another thing I have done is one of our layers is to include the color orange, and so I've matted my photo on that. And then off camera, I just stitched around my heart with some turquoise embroidery thread. Now, I love how it has the flowers on either side, so I think I'm going to do that. I've pulled a couple of my stamp sets that have flowers in them. I'm not sure yet which ones I'm going to use, but I just pulled a bunch of them, and a lot of them do have coordinating thin cuts. Those are die cuts, and so I've chosen to use my Doodled Florals stamp set because it has those coordinating thin cuts, and I think that that's going to make it really fast and easy to cut a whole bunch of hearts out. And so I'm just doing that here. You can see I've got some white daisy cardstock, and then what I will do is I will stamp them. And you can do it either way. You can stamp first and then, use some washi tape to put your die cut down and cut it out second, but I like to cut mine out first and then stamp second. So when I was thinking about my flower colors, I just looked at, I had that lagoon and nectarine color already in my layout. So I kind of looked at my ink pads and thought, which ones go along well with those and kind of look pretty together. So I pulled 2 different greens. I've got clover ink and green apple. And then I've also pulled papaya and peach, lemonade, and I think that might be it. I'm going to still use lagoon and nectarine as well because those are my colors in my papers. So I won't make you watch me stamp all of those. But I did just want to show you a little trick here. Now, this particular stamp that I'm pulling off of a different set actually matches that same thin cut, which is really cool. But you can see those flower petals have like a bunch of little bumps. So it can be a little tricky sometimes with flowers and such to match up exactly where the stamp goes with that die cut. I find it easy just to place my stamp on my die cut and then pick it up with my block that way. And that way I don't have it already inked up, and there you go. Now here you can see I just wanted to show you I had 2 extra leaves that were stamped in black, and I decided to not do that. I stamped all of my flowers and leaves in their actual colors, and I'm not going to color them in, with the exception, you can see that one peach flower there that I'm working with right now has more of a solid color, but all the others are kind of an outline. They're, like I said, the doodled florals. And I decided not to do black ink and color in with markers, for example, because I really liked that light and airy look that these gave by having a lot of white space in the stamped image. And I was really happy with the way that that turned out. And also I just thought too, oh my goodness, I'm going to need so many flowers to match that sketch, and that's a lot of coloring. So it just was a lot easier to stamp them in different colors instead. And kind of like I said, I really liked that light and airy look. So I'm just kind of playing around with, on the sketch it shows on either side of the photo how there are 2 different clusters of flowers. I don't have the 3 photos like it shows in the sketch. I'm just using 1, but I do want to remain true to the sketch in that sense where, you know, there's 2 really big floral clusters on either side. And so some of these leaves are going down straight to the page, and then I've got thin 3D foam tape and then also regular foam tape, and I'm just varying the heights of everything as I'm kind of like tucking and maneuvering them to create a little cluster here. And so you can see that's what I'm doing. But I feel like now the right side of my page is a little blank. So here's a little close-up of that. And so now I think, I'm not sure, I'm going to smack those flowers. That's another layer, is flower smacking, which is kind of a joke in the Craft IQ group. We're not really sure where that came from, so we all just kind of like hit our flowers and call that flower smacking. So that's why I was pounding on my flowers. Okay, so now I need to somehow include my title, and I think I might want to try to do like where it had that other, diagonal or crooked square on the sketch, and so I think I'm going to do that for my journaling piece. So I also pulled, this is just a little lemonade colored zip strip that was on the top of my paper that I'm using. This is just an old mix-in piece of paper, and I'm going to put that at the bottom. It just needed a little more color or something down there. And then I was showing you that I did cut this square for my journaling out of my stitched squares thin cut to match that stitched detail that is on my orange photo mat. So that way they kind of coordinate together. And then I had a couple leftover flowers. So again, I'm just going to put those around and create yet another floral cluster. So I don't know, I'm not really that close on the sketch, but I am trying, to make it work for what photo I have and what I need to do. I'm not sure. I feel like it still needs maybe something at the top. I don't know. So perhaps title right here. So I went to my Cricut and I found on the art booking cartridge this little sentiment here that says giggles and grins. And I thought that would work perfectly for this photo of my daughters. This was actually, they were, snuggled up in one daughter's bed and playing on their tablets that they check out from the library. And it ended up being their very first sister sleepover, as they call it, where they spent the night in one of their beds together and had a little sleepover. And it's funny because that was the first night, but then in the years to come, they actually ended up sleeping together more often than not. And now they share a room. They went from having separate rooms to sharing a room. And so this was just sort of the beginning of their, sister sleepovers. And so that's what I'm documenting here. Okay, and all right, so I've got flower smacking. I have orange, which was one of the elements. I have triangles. That was one of the elements. I've got the sketch. Okay, so 2 other things that I need to incorporate as part of this Craft IQ challenge are something metallic or with a metal finish. And so I have gone into my stash and found these. I don't even know what they are. Maybe somebody could tell me in the comments down below, but they're these just little hanger type things. I don't know, you put them on with brads. They're metal, so I put them on to take care of that layer for the Craft IQ challenge. And then I saw this tip somewhere else, I can't remember where, but I thought it was really cool. If ever you use brads, just put a little piece of washi tape on the back, and that way when you go to slide it into your page protector, it doesn't snag, because I hate that. So that's a pretty cool little trick. Okay, so triangles, orange, following the sketch, something metallic, colored cardstock. I've got that there with my nectarine piece of cardstock, and flower smacking. And so the last thing that I need to include for this challenge is 7 of 1 embellishment. And so I have turned to my little button jar, and I think I can find 7 little buttons that I can use as the center of flowers. And so it works out. I end up being 1 flower short in order to kind of keep it all uniform, but I just left that one blank in order to make sure that it was just 7. So off camera, I'm going to stitch those buttons onto my page. And so I've got 7 there, and that's all of the different elements. Okay, the last little thing I'm going to do, now I feel like I've got that black and that title, and there's not a whole lot of black elsewhere except for my journaling. So this is a piece of the mix-in paper from March and April from Close to My Heart, and I saw Katie Taylor on Scrap and Katie on her channel that she did this, and I thought it was a fabulous idea. So this particular piece of paper just has a whole bunch of words and sayings grouped together, and she just cut a little strip of it and then cut it apart to use it as an embellishment, and I thought that was brilliant. And so I found this one that says "Together is the best place to be," and I'm cutting that off. And I'm going to tuck that up above the top of my photo there. Just like I said, I felt like I needed a little bit more black once I had that title on there. And then so that way I've got the black in the title and that little sentiment strip and then my journaling, and that creates that visual triangle. And then there's one more I'm going to use that says "Cherish Every Moment," and I'm going to stick that down there underneath my title. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. There are several ladies who are playing along with this Craft IQ challenge. We also are using this particular sketch because it is day 20 from the Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, if that is a group or a challenge that you're familiar with as well. So lots of different ways that you can kind of see some things that are going on here in the month of March. So make sure to check out all of the ladies who are playing along, and I will leave those links in the description box down below. And here are a couple of still shots. I hope that you have enjoyed watching. I am a Close to My Heart maker, and I use Close to My Heart things. So if you see anything you love, I will also leave a couple of links down in the description box below. I really appreciate your watching and your support. So please leave me a comment and a like, or subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. That always makes my day. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy crafting. Bye.